All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're going to break down a really powerful way to think about responsible behavior in kids, and it all revolves around one surprisingly simple idea.
I know, it sounds a little out there, right? What on earth does learning to drive have to do with a child's behavior? But trust me, this metaphor is the key to unlocking a whole new way of understanding how kids learn to navigate their world. It's going to make everything click.
So, I want you to picture this. A child's developing brain is like a car, and the child, they're the learner driver, just getting behind the wheel for the first time. They're trying to figure out all the controls, understand the rules of the road, and they really, really need a calm, patient instructor sitting right there beside them. This whole journey is about mastering one absolutely crucial skill. And that skill is self-regulation. It's the ability to actually drive your own brain, not just be a passenger getting tossed around by every bump in the road. It's knowing when to hit the brakes, when it's okay to speed up a little, and how to steer through all of life's crazy twists and turns. And let me be clear, this is not just some nice-to-have skill. No way. Learning self-regulation is one of the biggest, most important jobs of childhood. It literally builds the foundation for how they'll handle school, friendships, and pretty much everything else life throws at them. Now, to make this whole process a lot easier for us to understand and to support, the Responsible Behavior Curriculum breaks it all down into four main parts. They call them the 4 Fs, and we're going to walk through every single one, starting with the car itself. So, if you're going to learn to drive, what's the first thing you need to get a handle on? The car's controls, right? The toolkit that the driver has to work with. And that brings us to our very first F. The first F stands for functions. We're talking about the executive functions of the brain. You can just think of these as the car's control panel. They're all the cognitive skills that let a child manage their thoughts, actions, and emotions, to actually drive the car. And this is where that driving metaphor gets so practical and easy to remember. These really complex brain functions, we can think of them as simple parts of a car. Impulse control, that's the brake pedal. The power to stop and think before you act. That ability to be flexible and adapt, that's the steering wheel, perfect for when the road suddenly changes. And self-awareness is the dashboard, glancing down to check your gauges, to see how you're feeling and what's going on inside. Okay, so our learner driver has a car. They know how the controls work, but you wouldn't just toss them the keys and send them out onto the highway, would you? Of course not. They need to know the rules of the road to stay safe and actually get where they're trying to go. And that leads us to our next 2 Fs. These guides are our next 2 Fs. The first one is fences. These are like the guardrails on the highway. They're the firm, clear boundaries that keep a child safe. And the second one is framework. Think of this like the road signs. It's the language and communication tools we give them so they can understand the world and tell us what they need. Fences are those super clear, consistent expectations we set. Simple things like we use gentle hands or we take turns when we play. When these guardrails are predictable and always in the same place, it actually lowers a child's anxiety. It creates this wonderful sense of security because they know exactly where the edges of the road are. And then you have the framework, which is all about giving them the right words for things. It's like giving them road signs for their internal world. So when we teach a child how to say, "I feel frustrated," instead of just throwing a toy, we're giving them a tool. We're empowering them to navigate tricky social situations with words, which is a total game changer. So we have the driver, we have the car's controls, and we have the rules of the road. What's the last and maybe the most important piece of this whole puzzle? Well, it's the driving instructor. And this brings us to our final F, which is all about the essential features of the adult role models in a child's life. And this part is just so critical, because if a child's driving instructor, the adult role model, is dysregulated themselves, it can have huge, long-lasting effects on their development. I mean, think about it. A stressed out, panicking instructor who's yelling and grabbing the wheel just creates an unsafe, scary learning environment. Our kids learn how to drive by watching us. So what does it take to be a great instructor? Well, it's all about what we do. It means modeling calmness, even when we're stressed. It's about co-regulating, lending our calm to a child who's feeling totally overwhelmed. It's about showing empathy, being consistent with our boundaries, and promoting a healthy lifestyle. All of these things create the absolute best conditions for them to learn. Ultimately, our job isn't to drive the car for them. It's not to grab the steering wheel every time they start to swerve. Our role is to sit in that passenger seat, stay calm, and provide the guidance, the safety, and the tools they need so that one day they can confidently become the driver of their own life.
So I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. Whether it's a boundary, a feeling word, or a simple routine, what's one rule of the road that you can make just a little bit clearer for the learner driver in your life today?